let's make some videos. Alright, here we are, about 2 days later, and this is Reality Check, brand new show on the eShow channel. This is a new show where we talk about some recent events, anything going on in the news lately. We're probably going to put these out about once a week. Any format in the show is definitely going to change. Hopefully that echo too, because if it's as bad as I'm hearing it right now, then I'm not too happy with it. So we're going to start off today's show with some news from Iraq. Reports are saying that ISIS is down to less than 1,000 members. So this is a real big milestone in the fight against terrorism. Now what this means in general as a whole for the rest of, you know, this fight against ISIS, any other domestic terrorism, other terrorism by this group, who knows, but we know that in this region, so far, they're down to less than 1,000 members. So this news comes after Iraq declares final victory over ISIS on the 9th. So this has nothing to do with the U.S. coalition or anything with Bashar al-Assad's regime or Russia's involvement with the group, so we don't really know like a total figure of how everyone is feeling about a victory right now, but because according to the U.S. coalition, on December 5th they had them at 3,000 members. So if right around now they're at 1,000, that is a pretty significant decrease in less than a month. So from my perspective, this seems like some very promising news. How it's going to look afterwards, we don't really know, because this area has been under control of a separatist state for so long that Syria, Iraq, and even Turkey have to decide how they are going to deal with that area. Especially in Syria, we saw the discussion of what's going to happen with Bashar al-Assad's regime. How is Russia going to treat them? How's the United States going to treat them? How is all that going to play out after ISIS is defeated? So another piece of news I want to cover is around a comic act that took place recently that was touted as a No Boys Allowed Girls Night. So the story comes from George St. George, who said he tried to get into this girls only show and was turned away at will call. So he filed a lawsuit, and I don't really know where it's going from here. Pretty much, I'm not picking sides on this issue, because this happens a lot. There's a lot of shows where the person or group putting on the event claims that it is a specific gender-only show, and when the other gender gets upset, in total, this is a very complex discussion. So, quote from the story, George St. George reportedly claims he bought 2 tickets to Schlesinger's November 13th show, Girls Night with Lisa, No Boys Allowed, but was turned away at will call because it was a boy, and offense he says, akin to Montgomery City Lines bus company in Montgomery, Alabama, circa 1955. I think that's a very one-sided view from this. I think I can't really akin it to anything, but I think akinning it to that is really stark, and it seems like two groups on opposite sides of a spectrum. And I'm not just calling it a gender spectrum, but it's a spectrum of how we should treat gender relations. And personally, I feel that both of them are radicalists, the people putting on the show and this person being quoted. I don't really feel that that's giving enough light to the issue. So I don't really like news stories like these, because it kind of feels TMZ-ish, you know? They're just going after the drama. So this issue doesn't really seem like something worth investing a lot of time into. So there's a news story coming out of Denver, Colorado, and it's around ICE, and the headline is ICE deports 40 per week from Denver using chartered plane. So according to this article, 40 illegal immigrants are being sent out of the country via a chartered plane at a rate of 40 people per week. So how this is happening, it seems like a logistical nightmare. It seems like there aren't enough people to be pushing this kind of operation. But according to the Denver Post, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deports about 40 people a week from the Denver area using a chartered plane that eventually makes its way to Nogales, Arizona, on the United States-Mexico border. Alright, so this is a quick interjection piece. There's some lost footage around here. To finish off the Denver piece, ICE is sending these immigration offenders to Nogales, where they're to be processed and deported. That's pretty much the end of that story. This next story coming up is about an earthquake in Southern California around the San Francisco area. So yeah, that's what this next piece is about. Sorry about the lost footage, and here we go, continuing with the earthquake story. Back to the earthquake. So these earthquakes have been happening more and more frequently in the past 10 days, according to the USGS. So because these are happening more frequently than they have in the past, if I could do a bit of foreshadowing, I would say that these are kind of leading up to something. A big event, either another big earthquake, which the area has been but expecting for quite some time. So this could be foreshadowing for something like that. Or this is an earthquake, like one big earthquake being chopped up into smaller movements. And I'm no geologist, I don't know how this works, but if it's anything like that, then this is some foreshadowing. Our next story is out of the Koreas, and you may remember the North Korean defector that was big in the news about a couple weeks ago, maybe a month. Doctors in South Korea have discovered anthrax antibodies in his bloodstream. And according to this Sky News story, according to a Sky News story, according to a Sky News story covering this topic, there are worries that this could be evidence that North Korea is weaponizing diseases. And firstly, it doesn't really surprise me that antibodies like these have developed in North Korea. With the lack of access to health resources and even food resources, it wouldn't be that surprising that these diseases are developing biologically in people in North Korea. And if the government has taken any notice of this, that could be evidence that they're trying to weaponize it. It'd be very easy to weaponize this kind of disease. And even if they're not weaponizing anthrax per se, they could be developing other weaponizable diseases. These superbugs that the CDC and other disease organizations around the world have been worrying about. So whether this means that North Korea is actively working on this stuff, I wouldn't go that far, but this is some big news. And just a short, quick story to finish off this episode out of Utah. Coming out of Washington County, Sheriff Sergeant Aaron Thompson has dived into a lake to save a drowning boy. According to this news story, the pond was frozen and he had punched through the ice to rescue this boy. In the news story, it details how he had not only taken quick action, but had analyzed the situation to see how thick the ice was, how deep it was, the temperature of the water. The man was very humble about this too. He said he had never considered himself a hero, but I like showing these lighter news stories at the end of the episode, just kind of showing you, yeah, this is, maybe the world isn't such a shitty place. So yeah, that's gonna be about it for the show. This is the first episode. Hopefully the second episode should come out in a week. So yeah, just remember, this is a community show. I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments, social media too. So hit me up on social media, hit me up down in the comments, and any questions, any comments you want to make on anything in the show, I'll be happy to answer them. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in a week. Also, just a quick announcement, my documentary that I've been working on for maybe about 9 months now, I'm publishing it on December 31st. So make sure to tune in to the channel on that day. The video will go live early in the morning, so anytime throughout that day, make sure to go check out this channel, and I will make sure to, once it is published on the channel and on my Facebook page, those will be linked in the description. So yeah, I hope to see you in the next video and anywhere else on social media. So yeah, see you in the next video.